California, the land of Hollywood dreams, Silicon Valley, and endless sunshine. It's where you can surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon. California is more than a state. It's an idea, the ultimate American dream. It's the cool older sibling of the 50 states, setting trends and breaking norms. With an economy rivaling global powers, California stands unique. It's a melting pot, a trendsetter, and a beta tester for the world. What if California decides it's had enough of the family drama? Could it really go solo? The idea of an independent California is a blockbuster scenario with real implications. The idea of California leaving the Union isn't new. In fact, whispers of secession have echoed through the state's history for generations, surfacing during moments of national tension or when California's unique identity feels at odds with the rest of the country. From the gold rush era to the counterculture movements of the 1960s, California has always marched to the beat of its own drum. The movement, often called Calexit, gains steam when political winds in DC clash with Californian values. Each time a controversial federal policy is announced, or a president is elected who doesn't reflect the state's progressive leanings, the idea of independence resurfaces, sparking debate and drawing crowds to rallies. Supporters argue California contributes more in taxes than it receives in federal spending. They point to the state's booming economy, one of the largest in the world, and question why so much of their wealth is redistributed to other states, fueling a sense of economic injustice and regional pride. They see a federal government out of touch with issues like climate change and social justice. For many, Washington's slow response to wildfires, droughts, and environmental crises only deepens the divide, while ongoing debates over immigration and civil rights highlight the cultural rift. Secession is seen as a practical step towards a more just and sustainable society. Advocates imagine a California that leads the world in green technology, social equality, and innovation, free from federal policies they see as regressive or harmful. But the process is a legal and political minefield. Constitutional scholars warn that breaking away would require navigating a labyrinth of laws, court battles, and political negotiations, with no guarantee of success. A massive number of Californians would need to vote for it, and the rest of the US would have to agree. It's not just a matter of state pride, it's a question of national consensus, and the hurdles are enormous. The US Constitution doesn't have an unsubscribe button, making peaceful separation complex. There's no clear legal pathway for a state to leave, and any attempt would likely end up in the highest courts, testing the very fabric of the nation. The Calexit movement mixes genuine ideology with frustration. For some, it's a sincere vision for a better future. For others, it's a way to vent anger at a system they feel ignores their voices. It's fueled by social media and the dream of a nation reflecting California's character. Online platforms amplify the message, turning a fringe idea into a trending topic and connecting like-minded people across the state. While many dismiss it as fantasy, the issues it represents are real. The movement forces Californians and the rest of the country to confront deep questions about identity, governance, and the future of the Union. The divide between California's vision and the rest of the country is powerful. It's not just about politics, it's about culture, values, and the direction America should take in the 21st century. Whether it leads to a split is uncertain, but the conversation itself is telling. It reveals a state wrestling with its place in the nation and a nation grappling with the meaning of unity in a time of division. If California left, it would be the biggest divorce in history. California's economy is massive, home to Hollywood and Silicon Valley. Untangling it from the US economy would be messy. The national debt and federal assets in California would be contentious issues. California would need its own currency, central bank, and trade policies. An independent California could create favorable trade agreements, but US tariffs could be disastrous. The US would lose a significant portion of its population and GDP. Federal tax revenues would plummet, forcing cuts or tax hikes. The US would lose its tech and entertainment hubs. The economic shockwave would be felt globally. The loss would be staggering, creating uncertainty and instability. Imagine waking up one morning, not as an American, but as a citizen of the brand new Republic of California. Overnight, your sense of identity would shift, and the routines you once took for granted would suddenly feel different. The familiar cities outside your window, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, would now be part of a new nation with its own rules, its own dreams, and its own challenges. You'd need a brand new passport, emblazoned with the iconic California bear and star. Traveling to Nevada, Oregon, or Arizona would no longer be a simple road trip. It would mean crossing an international border, waiting in line at checkpoints, and showing your new documents. Even a quick visit to family or friends in another state would require planning, paperwork, and perhaps even a visa. California would have to write a new constitution from scratch, building a government that reflects its unique values and priorities. Lawmakers would debate everything from education to healthcare, and every decision would shape the future of this fledgling nation. The political agenda would likely be very progressive, with a strong focus on climate action, social justice, and innovation. California could become a global leader in green technology, civil rights, and cultural expression. Socially, Californians would need to forge a new national identity, blending the state's rich history with its forward-thinking spirit. Festivals, holidays, and even the way people greet each other might evolve to reflect this new sense of belonging. California is already one of the most diverse places on Earth, but now it would be a nation of minorities, where no single group holds a majority. This diversity could be a source of strength, but also a challenge as the country works to unite its many communities. Internal divisions could become more pronounced, as regions with different values and priorities debate the direction of the new country. The Central Valley, for example, might feel left out or unheard, fueling movements to break away or demand more autonomy. The Central Valley might even push to leave California, seeking its own path or closer ties to neighboring states, highlighting the complex patchwork of identities within the new nation. Everyday details would change too. Your mail would arrive with California stamps, your taxes would go to Sacramento, and athletes would compete under the California flag at the Olympics. Even your driver's license and currency might look different. Every aspect of daily life, from breakfast with your family to sending your kids to school, would remind you that you're part of a bold new experiment. The symbols, the language, and the laws would all reinforce this new reality. It would be a time of excitement and possibility, but also anxiety and uncertainty. Some would celebrate the newfound independence, while others would worry about what's been lost or what challenges lie ahead. For many, the new nation would feel like a progressive paradise, a place where bold ideas can flourish. For others, it might seem like government overreach, with too much change happening too fast. The political and cultural differences within California could become even more visible as debates over policy, identity, and the future play out in the streets, on the news, and in everyday conversations. Through it all, the experiment of the Republic of California would be a constant reminder of how quickly life can change, and how a new reality can bring both hope and uncertainty to every sunrise. Imagine the US without California. It's like the Rolling Stones without Mick Jagger. The immediate impact would be a massive identity crisis. Politically, the departure would cause a seismic shift. Removing California from Congress would strengthen Republican power. The political balance would be upended overnight. Economically, the hit would be brutal. The US would lose its tech industry engine and agricultural output. The loss of federal tax revenue would create a massive budget hole. Some might see upsides like less political polarization, but any benefit would be dwarfed by the economic and psychological loss. Once the dust settles after such a historic split, both California and the rest of the United States would face the enormous challenge of figuring out how to coexist as neighbors rather than as one nation. The decisions made in these first days and months would set the tone for decades to come, shaping everything from daily life to international relations. Would California and the US become the best of friends, working together for mutual benefit? Or would they turn into bitter rivals, constantly at odds over every issue? Perhaps, as is often the case in history, their relationship would land somewhere in between, marked by both cooperation and competition, trust and suspicion. One of the first and most pressing issues would be the movement of people, goods, and resources. Millions cross state lines every year for work, family or leisure. Now, every trip could require paperwork, inspections, and new rules. The flow of goods, everything from fresh produce to high-tech electronics, would face new hurdles, potentially slowing down supply chains and raising prices. A physical border, complete with checkpoints and security, would likely become a reality. What was once an invisible line on a map could turn into a visible barrier, changing the landscape and the lives of those who live near it. Trade would become a major sticking point. New tariffs and regulations could disrupt industries on both sides, from agriculture to technology. Businesses might struggle to adapt, and consumers could feel the pinch in their wallets. Ideally, both sides would work out a cooperative relationship, negotiating fair deals and open borders. But if talks break down, tensions could escalate into an economic Cold War, with each side trying to outmaneuver the other. Water rights would be another flashpoint. California depends heavily on water from the Colorado River, which flows through several US states before reaching its farms and cities. Disputes over access could quickly become heated, especially during droughts. In a worst-case scenario, the US could restrict California's water supply, turning off the tap and creating a crisis that affects millions. Negotiating fair water-sharing agreements would be essential to avoid disaster. Ultimately, the nature of the relationship would depend on how the split happened. Was it peaceful and well-planned, or rushed and contentious? The answers would shape everything that follows. If both sides manage a peaceful separation, they could become close allies, working together on trade, security, and the environment, setting an example for the world. But if the process is messy, filled with anger and blame, it could lead to decades of hostility, protests, and political standoffs, making cooperation nearly impossible. In the end, the choice is clear. Will they build bridges of understanding and partnership, or will they build walls, both literal and figurative, that keep them apart? Whatever path they choose, one thing is certain. This new reality would send shockwaves across North America, creating uncertainty and instability that could last for generations. The birth of California as a country would be a global event. The Republic of California would become a significant player. It would demand a seat in international organizations. California's foreign policy would focus on environmentalism and free trade. It could become a global leader in climate change and tech innovation. Other countries would see California as a key partner. The new nation would need a military, changing Pacific security dynamics. The US would face challenges as its superpower status is questioned. The global balance of power would be forever altered. The ripple effects of Calexite would spread far and wide. The most immediate danger would be the domino effect. Secessionist movements worldwide would be emboldened. This could lead to profound instability and political chaos. Inside California, internal divisions would come to the forefront. The conservative rural parts might feel alienated. The state of Jefferson might pursue independence. The human cost could be immense, with families split and economic disruption. The dream of a Californian utopia could turn into a nightmare. Breaking up is hard to do with unforeseen complications. The experiment could prove more challenging than anticipated. After all the drama, would an independent California be a good idea? It would be a grand, terrifying experiment in nation building. Independence offers the chance to build a society reflecting California's values. It could become a world leader on climate change and innovation. The dream is powerful, but the path is littered with dangers. Economic turmoil and political instability could cripple the new nation. The dream of a progressive paradise could crumble under geopolitical reality. Calexit is more than a political fantasy. It's a mirror to the US. It reflects deep divisions and questions the Union's fragility. Can a house divided truly stand, or is it destined to break apart?